The Jimmy IV Sexy Cool Lounge is an inspirational podcast spreading positive energy and only good vibes into the universe through personal discovery, empowerment, and self-love awareness. Now, please join me in the Sexy Cool Lounge with our creator and host, Jimmy IV.
I have a special guest that is like making her return to the Sexy Cool Lounge. And you guys know her from first episode that she was on, Energy Healing. And that went so well. We even started to do an IGTV, right? And that went even better than expected. So I asked her to come back into the studio and vibe with us again. And she's been gracious to give us some of her time. All right. She is an author. She is a spiritual life coach. She is a energy healer. All right. So I need you guys to give it up. Give a warm welcome and listening ear to my good friend, Miss Rosie. Rosie, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. How are you?
I am doing good. Good. How is the new year treating you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this new year. I'm I just feel like so much anticipation for what's to come, but also remembering to stay present, right? But just a feeling of
Absolutely.
excitement, because the universe does wondrous works. And yeah, as we are all co-creators with the universe, we should all feel a sense of excitement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Take it one day at a time, live in the moment, but we do plan for the future and we do not live in the past, right?
Right.
So, you know how we do things here. So, first thing out the gate is question number one, and the most important question before we get into some of the things that we're going to talk about. Miss Rosie, what does sexy cool mean to you?
Sexy cool means being authentic, being true to yourself and letting the real you out for everyone to see, not feeling a need to hide yourself, um, being comfortable in your own skin, loving yourself, trusting yourself to do what's best for you, not living by anybody else's rules. That's
Not living by anybody else's rules. Man, that is like so profound. I love it. And, the beautiful thing about that question is I can ask it a million different times, a million different ways, and I never get the same answer twice, right? It's all in the person's perspective. And that is what's so unique about asking that question. So thank you again for giving me your perspective on it and the energy behind it. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I asked you to come back because when we did the IGTV session, we talked about energy manipulation, right? And we really got into a good conversation with that. So uh, the conversation went so well that we decided we would get together and do an actual episode on energy manipulation. Okay. So the way I want to start this out is help us understand what is energy manipulation to start with. Okay.
Okay, so everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing. We are energy. We just are wrapped up in this meat suit, but underneath it all, we are all energy. I think I mentioned this to you after we did our IGTV. Um, Energy is God in motion. It is how we manifest. It is how we comprehend things and the things that we create. There's all energy behind it. We could talk about this subject for an eternity. There's so much behind it because, like I said, everything is energy. And when we did the IGTV, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Did that answer your question?
No, it did. And just, we were just trying to put in perspective energy first, okay, so that we can get into then energy manipulation for the good and for the negative energy. So for those that didn't get a chance to see the IGTV episode, it's just putting it in perspective so that they can, truly like absorb everything that needs to be absorbed from this episode. So absolutely, you did. Thank you very much. Yep. So going into now, what is energy? Let's kind of wrap into energy manipulation. Okay. And let's take it from the negative side of energy manipulation first, and then we'll follow that up within the positive side of energy manipulation. So when we talk about energy manipulation, help us understand how that comes about, that there is a manipulation of the energy from the negative side. Tell us what it is, and then maybe give us some examples of how that happens that maybe we're not aware of, but it is happening.
Okay, I can do that. Our thoughts are a form of energy manipulation. The words that we speak are a form of energy manipulation. If I'm speaking on someone else in a negative way, and I'll get into that term negative, if I'm speaking ill on them, or I'm wishing them bad luck, or I'm talking gossip about them, I'm actually putting that energy into their energy field. And for someone who is not aware of how to transmute that energy from the other side, it can actually really do some damage to someone, because it is energy at the end of the day. Now, the person who is doing this will have some type of energy come back to them where it's more like karmic, because the universe restores balance. Energy just continuously is moving. It's constantly moving. And so what you put out is what you bring back. People do this unaware. They don't understand that what they're putting out is what they're bringing back in. So if a person talks gossip, they may find themselves struggling in areas of their life, and constantly struggling, because people who gossip, this is a pattern. This is something that they constantly do, usually. And so they may find themselves having financial difficulties, or they might find themselves having relationship issues. And that's not to say they don't have, some inner work to do, but we're talking about energy manipulation here. And it actually will come back until a person realizes, like, hey, wait a minute, maybe I'm doing something here that's creating this. But like I said, people are usually unaware of what they're doing.
How about the energy manipulation that comes from, let's say, a significant other, or a spouse, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or just friends who try to manipulate your energy for their benefit? Okay. How can we be aware of scenarios like that? And then what do we do if we find ourselves feeling like our energy is like being influenced or manipulated in that type of direction?
Intuition, your inner voice, is always going to be spot on. Someone who likes to manipulate energy for their benefit can do a really good job at making you doubt your own intuition. But it's a mind over, I want to say heart, but it's more than just your heart. It's like this inner knowing that, no, this is not right. And you have to be able to listen to that. But I think one thing that really throws us off is that as we are engaging with the other person and we're looking at the other person, we get really thrown off by what we see with our eyes. And as opposed to us going within and connecting with ourself, and that voice that's inside of us saying, no, this is not right. You need to take a step back, remove yourself from the situation, and, reflect on it before you continue to move any further, before you allow this type of behavior to go on. But all too often, especially if someone's an empath, highly sensitive, and is falls prey easily to manipulation, especially in that narcissist empath dynamic. It's not so easy to navigate through, especially if you're unaware. If you're unaware. But yeah, it's that inner knowing, it's that inner feeling. Close the eyes to what you see, because you might look at your partner or your friend and just be totally in love with them because they're who they are, right? You just connect with them on an external level. But are you really connecting with them on an internal, from the inside, from your heart space? Are they making you feel good? If you're not feeling good, something needs to be examined here. There's some really, the energy is off, and you have to be able to identify that. It's not hard. It's what you're feeling.
And as we get into what you're feeling, how much of the words, as you mentioned before, you talking in a not positive way about yourself, how do we sometimes manipulate energy in a sabotage way of ourselves? I mean, we talk about other people like influencing our energy externally, okay? But let's get into how often and how common is it that we sabotage, we self-doubt ourselves without even anybody else around to influence that? And what can we do to, one, recognize it, but then two, what can we do to start moving away from that self-sabotage, if you will, of our own thought process and make it more of a positive one, so that we are then in a better confidence and controlling way to deal with those external negative manipulations that come around from time to time?
Great question. This is like I think this is something that every human being struggles with at some point in their life. And it could be for like a huge chunk of their life, they're struggling with these inner voices, that I'm not good enough. I don't look good enough. This constant comparison to other people. I'm not worthy. I'm not respected, for whatever has gone on in their life that has programmed them to have these thoughts. And the fact of the matter is, there needs to be some type of shadow work that's done. We all have these shadow aspects of ourselves. And these are the parts of us that we feel we need to keep hidden because there's shame and nobody's going to like us. But the thing of it is, these shadow aspects are running your life. They're ruling your life, and you're living from the shadow. And when you live from the shadow, you're not allowing your light to come through. And if you go towards your shadow willingly, wanting to heal, wanting to know why you do these things, wanting to understand why you don't value yourself, your light starts to shine. It's just a matter of wanting to dig deeper. And when you have this type of program going on where you feel like nothing ever works out for you, say you get up in the morning and your alarm didn't go off, so now you're going to be late for work, and then you take your coffee and your coffee spills, and you're like, oh, now today's going to be just the crappiest day. And it will be. It will all unfold into one thing after another because you just spoke it out. And humans need to understand that they are powerful creators, and every word and every thought they are creating. And if they can learn just a little bit to value themselves and to see themselves as a sovereign being, because God does not make less than. Our wondrous, amazing, divine God, creator, source, would never make a being that's less than. There's no point. That doesn't make any sense. And so when people can really start to realize like the importance of them being here and start to value themselves and respect themselves and want to learn more about themselves, then they can begin to create a better life for themselves. And they'll find that the people who didn't value them that are in their lives right now will start to fall off because they now value themselves. And so those people just don't vibe anymore. And that's another thing with energy manipulation. When you start to raise your vibration, people who can't meet you there will vibe out. It's just the way it works.
And is that usually when you start to have like internal conflicts? When you start to grow, when your light starts to shine bright or brighter, okay, than someone else's, you in my opinion, I think you start to see who is truly in your tribe and who isn't.
Yeah.
Because it's not a competition of whether my light or your light is shining brighter or the brightest, okay? Because we all going to shine together, right? You
Right.
then start to see who is truly happy for your light and your brightness, and who starts to become jealous, or who is envious, or who doesn't want you to shine brighter than theirs, whether it's a partner or a friend or whoever. And then I think in that spec is where you start to have some conflicts. And then it just becomes an executive decision as to what you're going to do about that situation. And sometimes it's not an easy situation, but I think if you're honest with yourself, as you were saying about intuition and your gut feeling, you know when someone's not treating you right, right? And you know that your energy isn't vibing with them in a way that should make it like copacetic, right?
Right. It's a weird dynamic, because at the end of the day, if I'm in a relationship and I'm disrespecting myself and letting my partner walk all over me, and he's cheating on me and he's doing all these things and I'm allowing it, he's not going to respect me. My partner's going to respect me more if I put my foot down and I create a boundary and say, this is going to stop. We're not going to have this relationship until you can do the work on yourself and not bring that drama into my peaceful sphere where I am over here. And that person will actually do one of two things. They're going to vibe out, or they're going to do the work, because they now see your value, because you value yourself. People, I think at the end of the day, they want to see that. They want to see that. They want, as in a romantic relationship, they want to see the other person valuing themselves. They do. And in regards to someone who, if your light's shining brighter than theirs, or when you start to do the work on yourself, you begin to experience detachment. You're not as attached to people anymore, because the value that you have in yourself grows and grows and grows, and you start letting them go, because you start to understand that they need to go and work on their own energy. We're just not vibing right now. You let them go because you love them, and you love yourself more, and you can't stop the process now. You have to keep going. You see that once you wake up, you can't go back. You can't go back to sleep. You just can't. So it becomes easier, I guess what I'm trying to say, Jimmy, especially in a relationship where it's like, I now am in this place and this person keeps trying to bring me down, and you're kind of okay with separating yourself because it's just not clicking anymore.
Why do you think some people have challenging scenarios of setting boundaries as it relates to respect or being treated a certain way, and whether it's a partner or a friend, because we're talking about energy manipulation. So at some point when you become aware of how your energy is being treated, why do you think it's such a challenge for some people who now know that this person or this person over here isn't, respecting or treating my energy with the appreciation that it deserves? Okay. Why do you think it's a challenge for them to put up respectable boundaries, healthy boundaries, to say, as an individual, this is where I stand on this, or this is how you will treat me, or you won't treat me? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think along with energy manipulation, there's also emotional manipulation.
Okay.
At the end of the day, they're maybe, I guess everything's energy, so they're one and the same. They're made to feel guilty. We are a bunch of people pleasers walking around. We want everyone to be happy, because as children, a lot of us grew up in households where there was a lot of turbulence and we had to walk on eggshells. We just wanted peace. We wanted everyone to be happy. And so a lot of times in these relationship dynamics, we have connected with someone who felt familiar from that time and space. And so now they're able to manipulate our energy, just like our energy was manipulated back then, when we were children. usually by parents, that we lived that way. And so, yeah, it can be really difficult because we can be made to feel guilty. We can be, that whole thing of, am I doing the right thing here? I know this person's making me feel this way, but how am I making them feel? It's always about putting the other person first. And you cannot, how's that saying? You cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
You can't. You're going to drain your own energy. And your energy is so valuable because we're all meant to help stabilize the energy here on this planet. There's going to be times in our lives where we're going to feel lower vibrational because we're going through some things. But maybe this person over here is in a better state. And so they're helping to balance and balance out these energies. Is that making sense? If everyone on this planet was low vibrational, this planet would implode. It would destroy itself because of the energy. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense.
I hope I didn't go off left field there.
No, not at all. Not at all. So what are some of the things that we can do to improve our energy? What are some of the baby steps? Like if someone's listening to this episode and they're hearing what you're saying and they're resonating with everything that we're talking about, then how do they go from this episode to say, okay, I recognize what I can do, right? How do we start them in the right path in baby steps to say, do this every day? Or if you find yourself in this situation, here's what we suggest that you would at least start the process of creating more positive energy or not having your energy manipulated as it was before.
Mm-hmm. Start with, if you're not someone who's into meditation, start that process 5 minutes a day in a quiet space, in a quiet place where you can just take 5 minutes to just sit and be present. Because once your thoughts start getting away from you, again, energy manipulation, right? And so if you're having a difficult time in a relationship, whether it be romantic, friendship, family dynamic, and your mind's constantly going about all these problems, what are you creating? More problems. You have to learn to quiet the mind.
Quiet the mind. Okay.
Right? So 5 minutes of meditation every day, and then increase it a minute a day. Be consistent. It takes 21 days to build a habit. In 3 weeks, you've now built that habit.
So would it be okay? Would it be okay if someone was in a toxic situation and let's just say that they could not meditate at home, okay, in that environment? Let's just say that there's just been so much going on that there's just, to meditate in the home, in the environment, is just not like feasible. Could they go somewhere, as you say, a quiet space? Could they go in their car? Could they just go anywhere? So I guess what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put options on the table of, if for some reason you're in a home, okay, workplace or whatever, could you go in a car? Could you just find some external spot that could be a quiet space so you could have these 5 minutes to yourself and to kind of calm the mind, as you were saying?
Absolutely. Spend some time out in nature. Go out in the backyard. Take a walk around the block. Hug a tree. Yeah, stare at a bird, whatever it is that you have to do. But Jimmy, I don't know if you remember that movie, What's Love Got to Do with It, about Ike and Tina. Seen it?
I remember the movie, yes.
Okay, so there was a lot of noise. There was a lot of drama and a lot of stuff going on in their home, and she was pretty much done, but she didn't know how to get out. But she started meditating and she would chant, and Ike would hear her and he would turn up the stereo really loud to try to distract her or just to not hear her. And she would continue on, because there's going to be distractions. There's always going to be something that tries to get in the way if you're trying to better yourself. You're trying to come out of a dark place. One of the challenges that light workers go through and shadow workers go through. So just know that although it is better to meditate in a quiet space or find some quiet, even if there is noise, You're going to have to learn how to quiet your mind or to shift your thoughts, to shift that energy into something else. You have the power and the control to do that. That makes sense? You're constantly creating. You can't always expect to always have quiet. You got to learn how to maneuver and navigate through certain things, but to always mind your thoughts and shift them immediately if you find yourself in a place that doesn't feel good.
I think what I'm hearing you say is that if for the baby steps of what we're trying to put forth in the awareness is quiet the mind. And if you can't do that in the environment, then step away from the environment, even just temporarily, so you have an opportunity to quiet the mind, right? That is the baby step. And if we do that through repetition of either stepping away or getting in a routine of even just for 5 minutes, quieting the mind, then we become stronger and stronger. And at some point, we're able to shift the mindset, or we're able to shift the direction of that manipulation of energy, and we can then start to use it as a positive rather than feeling like we are engulfed and we're swimming in the manipulation of the negative. Am I kind of hearing that correctly?
You totally put that all together so beautifully. Thank you. That's why I love doing these with you, because you just take everything that I say and you put it all back together, like so smooth. So sexy, cool.
That's just how we roll here at the Sexy Cool Lounge. But okay. Too funny. Too funny. Oh, girl. Yeah, but yeah, that it's a wealth of knowledge that I think people can resonate with, because we all have challenges and we all have situations that we deal with. But we have to find a way to continue to better ourselves. And you were speaking earlier about, as you start to better yourself, and if you start, as your light starts to shine bright, there are going to be people who are going to fall off. And you got to be okay with that. And I know it's easier said than done in this episode, that you have to be okay with it. But the universe is going to challenge you. Okay. When you really get to a point where you are on a growth spurt by yourself, like there are times when people grow together and there are times when they don't. But when that moment of clarity comes that you are growing in a different direction than someone else, a partner, a friend, for whatever reason, okay? Sometimes things have expiration dates on them. Friendships, relationships with partners. But when that time comes, you know what, you have to go in your direction of self-growth, or you are going to really be at odds with yourself. Is that right? Especially when you now know that you are growing in a different direction than someone, but you are just trying to hold on for wishful memories, right? Memories are memories. Some of them are good and some of them are not good, but your growth should be, your personal growth should be on you to continue moving forward, because that's what the universe has in alignment for you, right?
Absolutely. Your growth is your priority.
Your growth is your priority. Y'all hear that? Your growth is your priority. Love it.
Priority. 100%. You know, I did Bible study when I was a kid, and there's tons of stories from the Bible, but one story that really sticks out is the story of Job. You know, he lost everything because apparently God and Satan had this thing going where God said he will not turn his back on me. I could take everything away from him and he will still honor me and love me. And Satan said, take everything from him. And so God did. And he got sick. He had boils all over him. You know, most people know the story of Job. I feel at times that that's what I went through. Like I not lost, like people just fell off. Like almost everyone, just about, save a couple people. I'm not even lying here. I got sick. People will experience these types of things. It's, and like you said, the universe will test you to see if you're serious, to see if you are really wanting to co-create with the universe. Because once you value yourself and you live in that energy and you're manipulating that energy where somebody's throwing some negativity at you, no, I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it in more self-love. That's a form of energy manipulation. It's transmutation.
Right.
No, you treat me like that. Well, no, I'm going to create a boundary because I love myself and I'm going to use that to elevate me instead. So I'm going to, if you can't love me the way I need to be loved, I'm going to love myself. And the energy in that, it's just like this cyclone just building up and building up and building up. And the universe loves it so much because you love yourself so much. And even though those people may have fallen off, the universe starts dropping people into your world that love you, that value you, that smile at you when you walk by, that do nice things randomly. Like you can't even make it up, the things that will happen for you once you start valuing yourself. And that's like one of the greatest forms of energy manipulation. It's just simply loving yourself and valuing yourself and saying, I'm going to create this boundary. And even though all these people may fall off and I might feel lonely, you really don't. But some people might think it's lonely to live in solitude, but when you're learning about yourself, it's not lonely. And the universe says, you trusted me. You totally trusted me. And you valued yourself. And now look what I'm going to do for you.
Right.
It's
I think there are times when people don't want to go through the process of being alone to realize that you're not alone. You can't never have been alone and then be okay with making decisions when you have to have people fall off. Okay. You got to be able to trust the process, right? The universe has something better in store for you, but you got to let some of the dead weight go before you get it. You can't have dead weight, negative energy pulling you down, creating chaos in your mind, right?
right.
And still have the fruitful things that come from the positive energy that the universe wants to give you. And sometimes the universe will give you just a little bit of fruitful, positive energy to show you that, hey, it's out there for you. I have it ready for you. But all of this chaotic, toxic nonsense that you're dealing with, and you know that you should not be here, you got to figure out and make some executive decisions. And for the purpose of this episode, I mean, we're not just like saying all situations are easy to move away from. I think what we're really trying to get at the root of is that you've got to take steps in the right direction for your own personal growth when you know that your growth isn't in alignment with someone else's who's trying to manipulate your energy for only the good of them and not of the support of you continuing to grow and shine brighter, right?
Right.
There you go.
One way that my perspective is like this, where once I would look at people who treated me that way, and I would be angry. I would be disgusted. By the end of the day, I kind of attracted those things. Because I'm a creator, right? I brought these things into my reality. That was the energy.
And it's funny that you say that, because there are people who won't admit that they had a part in some of that energy coming their way. They was just like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why is this person doing this to me? Well, wait a minute. You knew this person was this way. And for whatever your reasons were, you accepted them, or you made excuses for their behavior in the past. And now everything is coming tenfold, and you want to kind of not accept some of the responsibility because you had off ramps, you had opportunities to say, you know what, you're not going to treat me this way, or you know what, you're not going to try to influence me this way now that I know that you've done it to me in the past. Everybody has choices that they can make, and sometimes we don't want to make choices or hard choices. But then when it comes time down the road and those opportunities to where we could have made choices really start to impact us, we don't really want to look in the mirror and say, I did have a part in this, and now I've got to work on trying to deal with it, right? They just want to shift the blame to the other person. And I don't think the universe really works that way. The universe is going to protect you. The universe is going to look out for you. In most cases, okay? But at the same time, you've got to do your part in wanting to move forward in your own growth.
But we all have free will. The universe, how much the universe loves us, that it allows us to do whatever it is that we want to do, even if it doesn't serve us.
Right.
And so at that point, the universe can't protect us anymore. Really
I agree.
can't. We're creating at the same time. We're creating this chaos. If that's where we want to be, the universe is gracious enough to say, okay, there you go.
Agreed.
Right?
If you decide that this person that I'm with, and I know that they did this and they did this and they talked to me this way. Okay. If you know and you still accept it and you still say, okay, well, I want to be here with them. And okay. The universe is not going to fight you on it. The universe is then going to mirror what it is that you say you're comfortable with and what it is that you want. And it's going to give it to you tenfold. And don't be surprised when you get the drama at a higher rate, more intense, more toxic, because you knew you should have left. You knew you should have walked away. You knew you should have set up some type of barrier or boundary that says, I am not going to be treated this way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're being treated that way, then go around your support group. You have friends that love you. You have family that love you. And the moment you make that decision, I do believe is when the universe starts to create that wedge between you and that external manipulation. And at that point, I think you start to breathe fresh air rather than the toxic air of the environment that you're in. My perspective on it.
No, that's so true. Once you start to see, and if you really want to start dipping your foot in, that whole self-love thing that we were talking about earlier,
yeah,
you start looking at everyone that's played that role in your life as, if it hadn't been for them doing that, I wouldn't have been able to proceed on my journey.
right.
I wouldn't have found the courage to love myself if they hadn't treated me this way. And you have a tremendous amount of gratitude towards them. And so, as we spoke about earlier, how it's negative energy, yeah, in the moment, it can really feel that way. But if you use it, if you take that energy and manipulate it for your highest good,
Right.
you take that devaluing you, and you use it to value yourself, like that, the way that energy transmutes is so beautiful. You're manipulating energy every step of the way. You're either going to use it and let it bring you down, lower your vibration, or you're going to let it elevate you and create a boundary, say, thank you. I maybe I'll see you next lifetime. And,
right.
We can have a better go at it if you can't meet me up here. But
Right.
I'm going to do what you did for me, and I'm going to use it for good.
And you want to use it to help yourself grow, even if
Yeah.
it's negative. Take the negative and turn it into a positive for your growth, and just continue to move away from that negative energy. I think there's a whole dynamic that goes along with that. The more you continue to stay away from negative energy, the more you grow positive energy. The more you grow positive energy, the stronger you become and the more confident that you become, that you don't need to breathe and consume yourself with that particular energy source. And you then start to go down a path that is so much more brighter for you as an individual, right?
Yes, absolutely.
There you go. Miss Rosie, tell us where we can stay in touch with you. Tell us where we can find you. If anybody has any questions, how can they reach out to you? Let us know where can we blow you up?
Okay, so you can email me at divine Soul. Okay, so DIVINESOL Reiki, REIKI at gmail.com. You can also, oh, I just started a YouTube channel as well.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's Divine Soul Messages. I'm an intuitive, I work with energy intuitively. So I'm a tarot reader, oracle. I enjoy that tremendously as another form of energy manipulation. Yeah. So Divine Soul Messages, that's Soul, SOL. That's on YouTube. Divine Soul Reiki is my handle at Instagram. And then also on TikTok, Divine Soul with a 0 at the end.
All right, website?
www.divinesoulreiki.com.
All right, good deal. And for anybody that's interested, all of this information will be in the show notes. You can find it there, but also her information will be up on sexycoollounge.com website. So there you go.
Hey, Jimmy, congratulations. Poland, huh?
Yeah. So at the time of us taping this episode, Sexy Cool Lounge is in 56 countries. Shout out to Poland for being 56, and we are in 555 cities with downloaded episodes around the world. Yes, ma'am.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you
Beautiful.
so much. Thank
Spreading
you.
the love.
It's just good vibes only and positive energy spreading around the world. So we're doing it, and thank you for helping us creating a footprint through your episodes and through your energy, through conversations that you and I have. And we'll continue to do what we can to make this place a better place and make people feel sexy cool. How about that? So, all right, family. So listen, Miss Rosie, it's been a pleasure having you in the Sexy Cool Lounge again. And I'm sure that this won't be the last time that we have you in. I think that you will end up being like the Sexy Cool Lounge resident energy healer, intuitive, spiritual guide, counselor, coach, whatever we need. I think we're going to be able to come to you and feel better as a result of it. So definitely thank you for your time and your energy today.
Thank you, Jimmy. Same to you. Appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. Family, as always, at the end of every episode, make sure that you love yourself. Love yourself enough to radiate your vibe, all right? And let's never forget that even though we do not have as much as others, man, we still have more than others. So let's continue to put good vibes into this universe so we can always get good vibes back. I'm Jimmy IV. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next episode.